What is the pledge? The United States of America. Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we go a couple months without good news and we got a bunch all at once here. So we'll start with this new
Okay, come on up, Martine. So we had to lie to him, his wife, myself, Jerry, because we knew he wouldn't come if he knew this was happening. But we just want to thank you for being amazing. I've been at West for 10 or 11 years, and the entire time he's probably been the custodian by himself for 90% of that time. We've gone through a lot of extra staff and he has done amazing. He never complains. He works very hard. He also will work extra hours to help out to make sure everything gets done. And when I texted Elsa about this, she said that he goes home for lunch every day, and when he leaves, he always says that he is gonna go back to feed his kids and take care of them. So he looks at our kids like we look at our kids. So we truly appreciate you for everything you've done. Guys. And now about half of the site can go if they want.
You don't want to state your policy?
We'll reach out.
All right, that's pretty good. You gotta follow that.
Well,
All right, so trustee Binion, you have 3 of them.
I do. 2 of them are not here. I know one is in Mexico on vacation with family. That's Brooklyn. Every year, the local VFW and our state VFW, we have a program for Voice of Democracy, our Patriots Pen, and Teacher of the Year. Our Voice of Democracy she placed 3rd within the district, which was against 6 other posts, and that's Brooklyn Collins. Where's Sam? So we have a certificate for you, if you can get that to her.
Absolutely.
And Ryan, I have one for you for Aiden. They said they were gonna be here, but they're not. Aiden Gonzalez was 2nd in the state for his essay, for his Patriots Pen essay. Our post, teacher of the year this year is Topher from Hacker. Have you come up? Thank you for recognition from the board and from, again, from us with the VFW, and we look forward to forwarding you again next year.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
With the Teacher of the Year program, it's at 3 different levels. We have a K-5, which is where Topher was submitted for. There is 6 to 8, so junior high and 6th grade. And then we have high school. We have had 2 national winners out of this district in the last 4 years, at the high school level and at the elementary school level. So our staff and our teachers are doing great things. So please, keep it up.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, trustee Benny. Very good. All right, if we can get a motion to approve the agenda,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda, unless somebody wants something pulled out, can we get a motion to approve?
Second.
Just a quick comment, Levi, I was just curious, I was talking to Mr. Gilbert about this, on the consideration of bills. I'm wondering if we can, eliminate some of the personal information on there regarding reimbursements to people. Teachers, staff, whatever, their address and phone numbers are on there. I was wondering if there's a way to not have that on there. I don't know if that's possible in that program or.
That report's a new report from the Skylar Cumulative, so I'll have to look at, making adjustments to it.
Okay, I know our public information, but at least staff,
Okay.
if it's possible. Thank you, sir. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Delegation, public input, is there any on there? Albert? Thank you. All right. The reports, we have, I almost called you chief next.
It's okay, I do it all the time.
Old habit.
No, just kidding. I'm like, I get the new chief next, Miss Chief next.
Chief name.
There you go. Oh, hey, look at that. I haven't heard that one yet. That's pretty clever. Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So I'll start with some good news like you guys did, because we just had some today. So our FSS Commander Major White and myself got to go out to Stevenson Elementary today, and we got to coin and award Miss Kimberly Beard and the first grade teacher and Miss Robin Shapani. They had so many nominations coming in, talking about what great stuff they're doing with the school, the students, and the staff. So I just kind of wanted to recognize both of them for everything that they do each and every day for our youth. So thank you, Ms. Robin Shapani. Also, it's the first time a principal has gotten so many nominations, so I mean, thank you. Purple Star update, our logo and website is getting closer and closer to completion. I'm about done with our professional development. What that means is, the professional development is our Purple Star liaison is going to have to do some form of professional development to ensure that they kind of know how the military works, how many kids have to move, and kind of what that encompasses being a military star liaison for the Purple Star program. So we're working on the professional development for that currently, and it is getting close to being done. It's quite the process, but we are getting one step closer, and we're still hoping tentatively by April. I have sent everything over to Stevenson to kind of let them know what that would look like as far as the requirements, the application process, how to build that portfolio. So that has been sent as well. Our new parent advisory board is March 27th at 9 a.m. Everybody is welcome. What is going on at Mountain Home is I've been talking with KMBT News Channel 11, and I've reached out to all of the principals within the district for some personality feature nominations with their kiddos. And we got quite a bit of nominations in. I couldn't pick one. I would probably pick every single one of them because I think they're all amazing, but they did pick several of them. And so we will be going out to the schools on March 1st, interviewing the kiddos, the teachers, the principals, showcasing our teachers, our district and our school and our students for all that they're doing. We are going to have our Purple Star celebration April 17th at Stevenson Elementary, where KMBT will be back out. And we're going to have like the big Globotron there. So if anybody would like to send me a 10 to 20-second video, just thanking our military students, they're going to be playing as the kiddos are walking up to the school for their parade. So we would love to have as many thank yous and hellos for the kiddos as possible, but you can email those to me. And that's really about it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
What was on the 17th, what time is that?
We will, leadership and myself and the Channel 11 News will be there at 7:45. But the kiddos don't, I mean, they start trickling in around 7:45, but they all really don't get there till about 8:20. But everybody's welcome. It's gonna be a huge celebration. Wear purple, bring your purple pom-poms. If not, I have some to provide to you.
I already told you about purple.
No fear, I got that.
Any questions? Awesome. Chief Neat, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Chief Nick out. Thank you.
Building presentation, Solani Smith. Akron Middle School.
If I cut off in the middle, it's because I'm getting one of the text messages to be quiet. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, gonna give you a heads up, we're actually gonna make a slight departure from what I sent to Sharon. Only because, I asked kids to participate in a slightly different way, and I didn't want to kind of steal their thunder by allowing you to have a preview of it. I hope you enjoy their contributions as much as our staff has, because they're fifth and sixth graders, and sometimes you don't know what they're gonna give you. All right, so just very quickly, we are at 530 students this year. That's actually down from where we've historically been, but I'm sure as you see enrollment numbers, that is not going to last long if things stay with some rather large classes coming up in the next few years. It does leave us with about 26, 27 kids per class on average, because we did have 2 positions we didn't fill this year. The applicant pool, as you may have heard, is not less of a pool and more of a muddy puddle. And we've gotten a little picky about who we invite into our school. Our demographics in terms of our subpopulations are actually growing a little bit across the board. And with that, we're just working hard to support them the best we can. All right, here's the start of our kids. If you've heard me present before, you've heard me talk about this is a very unique age group. And in that you can see where they love each other, and 3 seconds later, they are tattling on each other. This is the odd dynamic that kids have when they are in 5th and 6th grade. These are all those are kid created with very little prompting, and they get better as we go. Data, obviously, quick conversation about that. I'm gonna give you a moment to ooh and ah over our trend lines in math. See some pretty consistent growth going up. And then once you're done oohing and ahhing, which I don't hear, but I will just assume it's internal, I'm going to show you that it actually is horrible. Going to start out with the bad so we can move to the good. For our kids right now, the expected growth is what we should have in February. We're not there in math. And it's not something I'm necessarily worried about, because our curriculum doesn't align with the tests that they're given. If they are taught addition right now or being tested on subtraction, they're probably not going to do very well. And that's kind of where we're at. So I anticipate by the end of the year that these numbers are going to improve. In the meantime, please continue to look at those trend lines, because they are, well, misleading. This is part of our challenge with some of our testing. Kids are not super excited about it. Hard to believe, right? This is the face we often get from them. We're gonna ooh and ah at reading, like we did in math. You can see there actually it has a lesser slope to it, and oddly enough, is way better. It makes little sense visually, but we have made adequate growth in all tiers in both grades. And in fact, if you look at that bottom row, anything that has an asterisk by it, they have met what they need for the year already. And we still have 3-ish months to go to smarten them up. So that is going rather well. All right, that's the boring stuff we don't need to talk about anymore. Again, this is our kids' version of how they view the world. I think they said that to make us happy, and that's okay. I'm sure you remember hearing from other schools. We're all PBIS schools. We're trying to reinforce a positive, but we did a little bit of a reboot this year. We recognized since PBIS implementation, I think was 7 years ago, our kids have changed. They are not the same little ones that we had, and to match what they need, we went from Tiger Power to Hacker Proud. And we just really enforce that positive attitude, developing responsibility and organization, understanding and determination, because that is something they lack. When things get hard, they often quit, and we're trying to help them become a little more resilient. Oh, sorry. So as we recognize the positive, we use something we call Proud Paws. All of our staff have little stickers that as kids exceed our expectations, we dole those out. They save them up and then they get to turn them in on a token economy. Anything from a Dum Dum Sucker, which you would be astounded by how many Dum Dum Suckers we've gone through so far, up into like virtual reality experiences. We also do our Tiger of the Month, and in that, it's actually Tigers of the Month because we allow every single staff member to recognize a student for anything that they see. It doesn't have to be they've done really well academically. It can be that they've improved. Maybe they're coming to school more often than they were. Something positive that we see in their behavior. Each of those kids then gets this paw printed out. It goes outside their classroom so they can be recognized there. And then something we started this year to try and address some of that testing apathy is we do leaderboards. We put those up on the TV screens. We send them out to the classrooms and we recognize those kids that are doing a really great job, both month over month as well as throughout the year. And we also show that for our classes as well, because then hopefully we're getting a little investment, not just for themselves, but I'm trying to help my class in general. They're very excited about Power Paws. They're very disappointed when they don't get Free Sit Friday. That's in the cafeteria at lunch. Yeah, they did a really great job of creating these. They did these in computers class. They've been learning about Canva. So it was an opportunity for them to demonstrate kind of the skills that they have gained there. These are just some of the other positive things we have going around the school, just positive signage, trying to remind everybody we're all in this together. That bottom right, they had the ability to color in like puzzle pieces and we're all in together. Just above that, Jamie Metcalf, our counselor, is doing Sources of Strength SEL curriculum. It's really built around resiliency, which is a positive in SEL. Sometimes that is not the case. And we've also been able to expand our partnership with Desert Sage. In the past, we've had to have students escorted over to Bennett Mountain to receive in-person services. We actually now have them on site 2 days a week. So our kids can come out, get some counseling services through them without kind of the logistical challenges that the very short distance created. Something semi-unique to our school, at least in the way we implement it, is professional learning communities. Some schools call it collaboration, things like that. We've kind of taken it a step further, and approximately every 3 weeks, we have para coverage go into team teachers' classrooms, and we pull them for about an hour and 20 minutes and have very intentional and focused conversations about what we're going to do to improve student performance. They are asked to fill, I've been a little fast there. They are asked to fill out this form of what are you going to do, how are you going to do it, things like that. And then we've rolled that into our PD days as well. On our last PD day, our teams got together, reviewed what they had been implementing, and then had to come out and share that with our entire staff. It is very difficult for us to be able to get a grade level together with 10 of them, let alone our school together to be able to share that. And the frontmost slide, you'll see kind of little cube color stuff. Something positive that came out of it is everybody recognized we want to use this verbiage and this signage school wide. And something that went from a team of 3 quickly went to a school of 20. And that idea sharing has been very positive because we have some exceptionally skilled individuals. I think it was Robin did the X number of years of experience, and I did a kind of a mental math in our school. And granted, we have some more staff, but it was roughly 250 years of experience within our school. There's a lot to draw from there. With that, some of these things in these pictures are what are coming from it. Everything from, and it kind of is cut off the upper middle. They did the volume zoo, where they had to create animals. They've just been studying biospheres in science. They had to create an animal out of boxes and then calculate the volume of the animal that they created. Parents came in and they had to explain it, and they talked about their biosphere as well as their calculation of their animal. It was really pretty entertaining. But we have some great idea sharing going on to allow our kids to have some great experiences. Something very unique to our school is our 21st Century Community Learning Center. We were very fortunate to be awarded a grant 4 years ago for $600,000, $120,000 a year that has allowed us to provide before and after school programming, as well as family nights and then some other activities. We, Monday through Thursday, starting at 7 a.m., kids can come in and there's academic support, there's physical activity stuff, and then after school, actually, I'm just gonna skip ahead because it is kind of ridiculous what we are able to offer. This is what we have offered so far and what is on deck for the remainder of the year. And our kids really enjoy it. We have attendance of about 85 to 90 kids per day that come in and participate in some level of this. We've also been able to put on a lot of family nights, trying to engage our families a lot more. The ones with the asterisks are ones that are still coming up. We also have our fishing trip and the YMCA summer camp. They go up to Cascade and participate up there for a week. So super, super fun for our kids. This was a scientific study done by our sixth graders who really struggle with percentages, so I don't know how much stock I would put into it. And really all those things I just shared are made possible by this really great staff. And I am so very thankful almost every day to be able to work with them because they work incredibly hard. And not that I want to start a fight, but I think you'd be very hard pressed to find a group that works harder to do great things for kids, both academically and just in terms of their overall well-being. And if you ever wondered what kids really think of us, they are convinced that we are old regardless of how old we are, because this is in Miss Day's classroom and she is one of the teachers, youngest teachers on staff. And they still refer to her as an old person. And that is, you don't have to watch the rest of this. It's for them, so they're entertained. Do you have any questions?
It appears you have the building together. I don't know if that makes sense, but it wasn't always that way.
We had some rough years.
Yeah, it sounds like you and your staff are just doing a great job, so kudos to you guys.
There's a great group of people there. I don't know who Joe Reed is, but they're trying to control my screen. A really great group of people. Like I said, not to speak poorly of others, but some of the hardest working people I have ever been around. And again, with a heart for kids, hands down.
That's awesome. I love the activities. It's amazing.
It really is. We have one more year. We have to reapply next, I think, December. Does that sound right, Joe? And we will see what happens.
It's always hard when things come to an end and maybe they don't continue.
It is.
It's difficult. Got that.
Hopefully, we have been strategic in how we have utilized that, in that we've tried to buy a lot of things that can be used over time, and then it becomes a matter of personnel.
Right.
Gosh, we have 3 or 4 3D printers now. Those are gonna stick around for forever. Okay, until they die, because the kids, that's like that's one of the favorites, cooking. It's unbelievable how popular cooking is. But yeah, it's a good group.
That's great.
Very good. Awesome.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Discussion about running a supplemental levy. I'll let you kick us off there, James.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if we are going to run a supplemental levy, which I would recommend, we will need to have the language for the levy in place. I believe it's 60 days prior to the May election. We're currently working on some language. We'll need to make sure we have the taxable amount accurate, so we're gonna have to go through one of the advisors do that, but my recommendation is if we're gonna run it again, we probably need to have a a special board meeting between now and the February, or now and the March board meeting to make sure that we have everything ready to go to submit to the county. Currently, the supplemental levy represents about 11% of our district budget. I'm kind of in a new time right now with not having the March election date, as that's been the date we typically use for supplemental levy. And so the benefit to the March date was once we had our levy run and then the funding from the state, which typically comes at the end of March, then we're in a pretty good position for budget setting. With the state taking away the March election and leaving us right now with only May, April, and November, I'm not real confident that we will have a solid budget number until after the May supplemental levy date. That levy is $2.7 million. And again, that really is used to fund just about everything in the district. I always equate it to, take any of our kind of line items in there, and it's about 11% of what we do in each of those. So I just wanted to put that out for discussion. And then we can proceed to schedule another meeting in early March and have the resolution available at that time.
Sounds good. We'll have the option to do that in new business later on,
Yeah.
then. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, did you all want to choose a date?
We can, is that item H under new business? Is that what that one's for? We can do it now, would you rather it's for you?
Anyway,
I'm excited.
yeah,
Any questions for Mr. Gilbert? Discussion of fundraising in the district, so this is something that I brought up to Sharon, to see if we can add it to the agenda. What got me thinking about this was mainly around sports, but I think it'll evolve into more than just that. So mainly it's questions for Levi and you, James, as well as maybe discussion amongst the board, but I really wanted to talk about this because over the past 4, 5, 6 months, I've heard a couple of things, instances such as a parent donating money to a sports team for uniforms that never got used for uniforms and nobody knows what happened to the money. And another one was it was more of a true fundraising situation where there may or may not have been some money missing from that. And so anyway, just started getting me thinking, and whereas I'm involved in sports and I know we also do fundraising, I wanted to ask some questions about what kind of controls there are, what are mandates, rules that we have in place to handle fundraising, the accountability piece of it, things like that. If maybe you guys can kind of just run us through how that works.
Sure.
So that's one, and two would be, who oversees that, and not specifically the person, but do we have that person that oversees those type of finances at each school? And within that person's role, what are some of the rules that person has to follow?
Sure.
As far as accountability, 2 people signing, whatever, deposit statements, things like that. And then I guess third on top of that, at the district level, who oversees that? I assume it falls under Levi. Does Levi have, complete autonomy on that? Because it's complete control over that as far as enforcing the rules, disciplining the necessary things like that.
Sure. Yeah, Trustee Abrego, I think this is a very good discussion point, just kind of general fundraising, and in front of you, you each have some samples, and you've got some other samples up here. So this is kind of just a discussion on fundraising in general. So this year, we're working with a group out of Burley to do more of a general athletic fundraiser. Best way I can equate it is think of the old posters we would get that had sports schedules on it and that kind of thing. This company out of Burley, they do all of the reaching out to the local businesses to get them involved with this and payout to the district is much higher. But I think what this does also is we always try to get people to understand there are only limited resources within Mountain Home. And so what I always encourage is people to be very cognizant of, you don't want to hit up the local businesses 100 times, right? So we're trying to kind of refocus in particular with sports, how we're doing that. And so this is more of a overall sports fundraising, so that hopefully we don't have every one of our teams hitting up individual organizations. So there will be more information on this to come, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there. I think from a control standpoint, in this day and age, it's a little different than it was 20 years ago. The reality is a lot of what we do fundraising right now is done through an online transaction. So that money is very easy to have those controls in place. Where you have concerns are any types of things that are cash oriented. So I'll just use a car wash as an example. Pretty common to see somebody set up at Les Schwab on the weekend doing a car wash, right? I think those are the ones that we need to have better controls on. And the reason for that is my concern is not that there's mistrust of anyone. I don't want any of our folks being accused of anything in those situations. And so we're going to put together some controls on the cash transaction. We already do that when we do like you think of when we do the tickets at an event, the ticket takers counting the cash, it's then recounted again by the activities director. So there's two people counting that money. And those are the kind of things we need to put in place, even down to those, $200-300 type of fundraisers, so that nobody can question the integrity of those types of cash transactions. So when money comes in, the money, if it's the football team, the money comes in, it goes into the football team's account, which is managed at the high school by the individual in that office who's assigned to deal with all of the funds for the high school. Head coaches have a big responsibility in how that money's managed and what that money's used for. Any purchases that are made that come out of there, think of it as a two-signer system with the coach and with Jenny, and it can possibly be with Sam. But we always on purchases, you want to have that double signature on there again, so that we're not putting people in a position where any accusations can arise from it. But ultimately, what we do with that and have been doing is we've been having the auditors come in and audit building accounts for that very purpose, to make sure that we have controls in place to manage money in those separate accounts. And there is somebody at every building responsible for that. Ultimately, that responsibility falls back to the building principal to manage those accounts, but there's somebody that is there that's doing the actual accounting part of it. And then Levi does have, as the business manager, has, kind of the umbrella oversight over all of that. But, I think that one of the things we really need to evaluate is, what are we doing the fundraising for? And I think that's where we can be more purposeful, is identifying the gaps. Fundraising should be there to fill gaps of things that aren't funded by the school district. And there certainly are things and activities that the district doesn't fund. And so I think that'll be a good direction to look at this spring as we move forward is, number one, what are we using our fundraising for currently in each program, and what gaps are there, and then looking at this kind of activities department fundraising, how do we distribute that within programs as well? So I hope that helped answer some of that.
I think so. So just so I understand, so obviously there's somebody in the building that handles, let's say handles that, and then at the end of the day, there's oversight by the principal of each building.
Correct.
And that principal has access to basically see whatever money comes in, goes out.
Correct.
You know, whether it's, purchases or transfers. And I assume that at the district level, whether it's Levi or somebody else you have in place, can basically oversee all of that.
Correct.
They can check in on all of the purchases and transfers and all that.
That even thing.
That helps. Thank you.
So just as a thought, so when Eric brought up that there, you know, could have been a donation, say, to something for a certain program, for football, or whatever, wouldn't that be just the double check? Yeah. Wouldn't it be easy to answer that question to the person who doesn't feel that those monies went to where it was intended by that donor?
Yeah,
Would that be an easy question to answer?
I think it is, you know, trustee Donahue, when you look at, let's say, we'll use football, a donation comes into football. And depending on what that fundraising was for, it's very easy to pull out of those accounts purchases that were made out of that fundraising money that's gone there.
Right.
I think the big thing is being clear with what we're doing with fundraising. You know, it's not just, no, we're raising money just to raise money. Like those programs, it should be defined what they're using it for. And so I think there can be more intention to that.
I just thought it would defray, sometimes when you have someone who said, well, you know, we donated X amount of money for this purpose and it never went there.
Yeah.
Well, with all of this in place, that'd be an easy something to answer and to show them.
And I think it right now with what we have in place, it's still very easy
Right.
to show where those expenses are coming.
Any questions or further discussion? Thank you. All right, superintendent's report, Mr. Gilbert.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just wanted to give you an update. Trustee Abrego and I have been meeting the last 2 months with Mayor Sykes in an effort to build collaboration. We met last Thursday and had the opportunity. I spent most of the time going over the National Assessment of Educational Progress scores. And I did that because I think one of the things that sometimes the city hears, especially with relationship to the military bases, this notion that Idaho education ranks, you know, 50th in the country. And so I wanted to show some data from an assessment that is actually given nationwide. You know, you think ISAT. Well, ISAT is an Idaho only test. It's not the Common Core standards. It's Idaho standard. So the NAEP is given nationally, and being that we are a military community, Mountain Home gets selected every single year for this. So the data is reported by the state, but it's a randomized test. And so we are always a part of that. And what you see with the NAEP is that Idaho actually scores really well. I mean, most years we're in the top third in math, reading, writing, and science. The data from 2022, which is the last, or 2023, which is the last test data they had in there. You know, Idaho is, I think, in the mid-20s in most of that, but it's way different than the perception that's often reported about education in Idaho. Most of the things that you read on school or on state rankings in education, the number one factor in those rankings is per pupil spending by the state. Now, it is true we are last or second to last every year in that. But in a lot of those national types of rankings, that's the biggest factor in the ranking that they use. And so, you know, if you look at like the US News or any of those national rankings, that's what they predominantly use. And so I wanted to share with the mayor that, so that when they get questions from businesses looking to come to Mountain Home, or just come to Idaho, that they're getting a clear picture of how well Idaho kids do, and every year Mountain Home is a part of that reporting through the state. So we spent most of the time on that. It was very good discussion.
I know this is not an agenda item, I just thought of it this morning. Just real quick, James. In December, we did the third and final reading on the use of district-owned physical property policy. I have recently heard that there are still items that fall under that policy that should not be still on the walls or visible in the classrooms, that are still there. So I haven't seen that myself. I haven't gone over and checked it out, but my question is, how is that policy, I guess, being enforced at the building levels, or is it being enforced, or is it being talked about?
Trustee Abrego, I haven't had anybody reach out to me with anything specific. I haven't had any principal report anything back, but I certainly think it's a good reminder to revisit this and make sure that, again, what we're putting up is educationally appropriate for policies. That will a reminder discussion.
Questions or comments for Mr. Gilbert? Thank you, James. Okay, unfinished business. Approve the corrected minutes of the regular board meeting of November 21st, 2023. Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. You skipped over the Board of Trustee Public Engagement report. I get tired of that one, that's why. Going back to Board of Trustees Public Engagement report. Sorry, thank you, Trustee Benyon. Anybody has anything to report?
So I had lunch with,
You gotta be faster.
sorry, no, I had lunch with one of our representatives this afternoon, talk about the legislation that's coming through, stuff that's gone through the House with, he's also a teacher at the high school. So.
I have nothing.
Trustee Perez? No. You sleeping down there? Good, all right, well. Unfinished business. Moving on here. Approve the corrected minutes of the regular board meeting, November 21st, 2023. You saw in your packet, just, wanted to be a little more, factual on the minutes. I think we summarized a little bit. We had somebody at the city office point that out. His comments our comments were in fact not what we really said, but what was typed up in the minutes. So just a quick correction to make it more factual.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for an FYI, minutes are just a synopsis of what's going on. If people want to know exactly what's going on, they should just watch the video or they can read the minutes. But we don't do, we're not like, we're not gonna do verbatim what's said in the board meeting.
And that's good to know. We actually told this person, we told that person the same thing, basically, so. Yeah, it's all good. It's apologize, made nice.
And Trustee Abrego, I just want to point out that a lot of this was discussion around the DSIP grant that we had received, and I do want to clarify on that, going back to the statement I made, it really was a group effort in this, but I will say, Marty Anderson was a huge component of this, did a lot of he was the point of contact in it, he did a lot of the writing for this, and so I just want to make sure he's given credit for it. And again, Levi and Nick's had a huge role in it too, so I think it is important to acknowledge everybody in there.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, that was the point of my comments or questions in that meeting, was just to make sure that everybody involved got the credit and not to take anything away from the specific amount. We get a motion to approve the corrected minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Policy adoption, third and final reading, and service credit. Gilbert?
Mr. Chairman, member of the board, there is one addition on line 12 there in this policy. The addition of an accredited. So that'll add clarification to that policy. Would ask for your approval of the third and final reading.
We get a motion to approve the correction of the policy adoption and third and final reading.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any new business resolution 2404, district-wide closure, Mr. Gilbert?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in your packet is resolution 2404. This is the resolution that when we had the snow day on January 17th, again, we need to have the resolution signed for state reporting purposes. So I'd ask for your approval of resolution 24 dash.
We get a motion to approve the resolution 24-04 is presented. So moved. Okay, that's a tie. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that should be a roll call.
Let's move on. Go fast. We get a roll call. Sure.
Trustee Fred,
Aye.
trustee Vivian,
Aye.
trustee Donahue.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Sharon. All right, appoint for project director for ISBA, fresh start policies rewrite. So basically, we have the ISBA helping us with our policies, right? And I assume this is somebody that works directly with them.
Amy actually, is one of the policy writers for the ISBA. There's a few of them, but I just recognized her name when I saw the list, but yes. This will also make us very similar throughout the valley. Because most everybody is going with the ISBA for policy writing. So we can go to another school and like see how they've reworded a couple of things, use that. It just simplifies everything.
I will still have a normal approval process of it.
Yes.
And it needs to be a board member, I suppose.
I'm sorry.
It needs to be a board member. It would be that director. The ISBA or
Chair. I think it's me.
I think it's so moved. Unanimous. Sharon, you're right. Approval of auditor, Mr. Vic.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I ask that we use Harris CPAs for the FY 24 audit.
Sure, they're checking those buildings, did I? We get a motion to approve the auditor. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Levi. Approval of the driver's education budget, Mr. Vic.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in your board packet is the driver education budget. That consists of revenue, which is state and student fees. That revenue total is $72,875. And then the next is going to be the expenditures. The expenditures total up with salaries, benefits, operational costs, which is going to be fuel, maintenance, and insurance. And the total expenditures are $72,875. That has a revenue over expenditures of $0. So the key for that is for us to break even the way the state funds driver's education, we either break even or lose money. So the goal is to break even.
How are we doing on cars? Did you oversee the driver's ed
I do, yes.
program as
Yes.
well? Obviously the budget, but car vehicles, we're doing okay on vehicles?
We're doing okay. We are gonna probably have to purchase one probably within the next 2 years. We did have one that got wrecked. We ended up getting told, so we do have some of those funds sitting there waiting for the purchase, but with the cost of used vehicles, they're still pretty high, so. So I ask for your approval.
So the budget. So Levi, I've got a question for you with the gas. So I noticed today prices are going in the wrong direction again. How much of a cushion is there in this or that?
There's a little bit of cushion in there. When I pulled the year-to-date report and I also the last year, we probably have about $600 cushion in there. One student drives about 110 miles on average. The cars are getting 30 miles to the gallon, so fuel expense is not real large.
All right, if we get a motion to approve the driver's ed budget,
This will move.
second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, schedule a budget workshop, Mr. Vick.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I ask that you schedule the budget workshop for Tuesday, May 7th at 6 P M.
That work for you guys?
So you're gonna have to prepare two different versions of the budget, aren't you, for the,
Correct.
Yeah.
would it be easier for you to do it after the levy?
I mean, I'm gonna have to do two, I mean, I'm gonna have to, you know, it doesn't pass at the last minute, I'm gonna have to do cuts or, so, I mean, as of right now, I say we get it scheduled and we can see how we are, because you know, depending on what the legislature has done, they may not have our numbers to us anyways.
Okay, if that works for everybody, let's, we get a motion to approve the budget workshop for May 7th. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, budget hearing, Mr. Vick.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I ask that you schedule the budget hearing for June 18th at 6 P M. That is 30 minutes before the regularly scheduled board meeting.
We get a motion to approve the budget hearing for June 18th at 6 o'clock.
I move that we approve the budget hearing at 6 o'clock, June 18th.
There you go. Beat 'em. And a second by trustee Benny, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, so Rick, you tired? Schedule a student meals fee increase hearing, Mr. Vick.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I ask that you schedule the student meal increase hearing for June 18th at 5:45.
Spend the day here then. We get a motion to approve the student meals fee increase hearing.
So moved.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Schedule a special board meeting, so this will be the supplemental levy.
Yeah.
Basically between now and March 19th. What you're saying there? Aaron?
Yeah, and I would recommend early March. That gives us a window to make sure we get everything to the county. It's accurate.
If you want to keep it on Tuesday, go the 5th or the 12th. That work for everybody? Have to check with. you. Yeah. So if we get a motion to approve the special board meeting for the, what time you guys want? 6:30?
Yeah.
So Tuesday, March 5th at 6:30? Then we get a motion for that first.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? If we get a motion to go into executive session, so
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Roll call, Sharon.
Trustee Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Benyon.
Aye.
Trustee Donahue.
Aye.
Sharon.
Aye. We have an executive session.
You're taking off.
Yeah, sir. In the basement. Thanks.